a quick review.
But we're never gonna have the last meeting accepted.
It'll be fixed. It's fixed after.
So what do we need?
It'll
Minutes
be, it'll
for?
be. I'll go over it when we go live.
What? So just. TCTV has elected to do this. That doesn't force our meeting. We're still gonna have our meeting. It's like if someone in
Right.
the audience decided to say, I want to record. So it's not, I'm not catering to what TCTV wants. We're doing our meeting. We were
Okay,
clear.
but it
We
also
were clear
just
on that.
turned 3:30.
They're live now.
Okay. Minutes. So what's your, well, let's go ahead and.
Yeah.
I got 1531. Let's go ahead and open it. We've got Justice, Noel, Tom. I thought I saw them.
She went home sick.
Oh, she did. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just the four of
Holly.
us and Holly.
Who's taking minutes?
Justice.
Justice. Okay,
Yeah.
for minutes, you got the roll for it.
Yep,
Oh,
so,
hold on.
I got the spreadsheet.
Quick little
oh, yep, but
part of the flags. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, just before minutes, so just calling out to the audience, if there's anybody recording, I assume TCTV, you're calling out that you're recording this,
Yes, we are.
okay? And you wanted to say something about the minutes.
yep, so there's 2 sets of minutes before you. I did a quick check. And make sure they're all of our minutes were up to date. The only set of minutes and we're within the time frame to approve them are the minutes of December 22nd, 2021. That was a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen. However, the committee's actions taken that day, because we had voted to accept the recommendations and then adjourned out. There was no minutes or record of that. So I just wanted to draw that up and make sure that we got that in within the time frame. And actually everybody on the committee was at the meeting that day. Even if you weren't on it, you were there as a select board member. Noel Advisory was actually there at that meeting too. Not in session, but to review the capital plan as well. It's just a cleanup. I had looked through next year because the capital bylaw did change. When we finish everything out in December, that last set of minutes, the chairman will just have to sign off on that and then we'll be good to go. So
Will we make a motion at that meeting?
Well,
For the chair to sign?
the bylaw already allows for that at the
Okay.
last set of minutes.
Okay.
So when we get to that part this year, so this is just a cleanup from last year, and then from now on, it should just be more streamlined.
Do you remember like the white piece of string around a finger? Do you know that metaphor?
Are we talking about a magic trick, or I don't know? the-
No, everyone else knows it. So I forget where it comes from, but you tie a little white string of it's actually, It's a Wonderful Life. When you would tie a white piece of string around your finger to try and remember something. So when you wake up, you're like, oh, what am I trying to remember?
Oh,
So we'll tie the white string around
Yeah.
our finger to remember that when it comes to it. Now let's get the young ones, Chris. Oh.
wow.
I don't want to date myself. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of December 21st, 22nd.
22nd.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the meeting minutes for Capital Planning Committee, December 22nd, 2021. Any discussion? Thanks for that preface. I
Mhm.
appreciate it. All right, hearing none on the motion to accept the meeting minutes for Wednesday, December 22nd at 2020 for 2021. How do you vote? Justice?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Holly? And I vote yes as well.
Mr. Chair, just wanted to let you know that Chief Bennett is running a little late and Jeff Aldrich is as well.
Okay.
If you want to take the school first since they were here.
Oh,
One more set of minutes.
Yep.
One more, yep.
Just go.
Go ahead.
I would make a motion to accept the minutes of Wednesday, November 16th, 2022 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none on the motion to accept the meeting minutes for Capital Improvements Committee, November 16th, 2022. How would you vote? Justice?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Holly?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thanks for covering for me on that one.
No problem.
I'd like to say I was in sunny California, but I was working. Okay. All right, so for our reports today, we have on the docket, police and dispatch, sewer, CPC, and our school district. Our school district is here, so glad to see you. We're ready for your presentation.
Well, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Good to see everyone. I think we stated earlier that I don't think I've ever come before this board. And I have to say that I don't know why. I think it was just not part of the normal plan, and we certainly should have. But I'm glad to be part of that, be part of this meeting, whoops, and to share what we've been doing and what we plan to do, hopefully at some point, and to also alert you to a capital project that we will hopefully be undertaking hopefully sometime during the late spring, early summer. So ultimately, we have the same capital budget request form. I hope that you have the full packet. I'm hopeful that something to this effect is within your packet. We meet as a facilities group every month, and we, of course, look at the long list of things to do. But what we wanted to show today, just real quick, is that a lot of these things that we have, although they're on our plan, we haven't come before either town for funding necessarily, but we've identified where we could have gained some money, hopefully through grants, et cetera, to help take this list down a notch or two. So again, what I know is that there are some 22 items on this list. 1, 2, 3, and 4 are most important, and they're ranked in order of importance. We were lucky enough to receive the COPS rule, the COPS grant, which only 3 in the entire state received any type of funds. And that's for approximately $160,000 to do a host of different security measures that I have, we've discussed quite a bit at the school committee meetings. So without me going through the entire list, I wanted to make sure maybe just pause a second and say, okay, so there's 22 different items on this list. We chip away as we can. There are some biggies on there that we certainly can discuss, but I thought maybe I would just at this point see what questions you may have, because it might be a lot easier that way to kind of speed it up a bit, I'm sure, because you have a busy day ahead of you.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah. I think the item that stood out was number 13, the $2 million to resurface the track.
Yes.
And I like to preface that by saying that I had a chance to go to a soccer match at the Air Shirley Regional School, where they just redid their athletic field, and it was a beautiful field. And it probably cost well in excess of $2 million.
Sure.
I in looking at that, I thought, I just had a feeling, that it may be actually too low a figure.
So, and your point is well taken. There's really 2 projects when it comes to that, I'll call it athletic facility, right? There's the track itself, and then there's the field that's in between, in the middle of the track. And we actually, during a couple of years ago, we had a track, a company that builds tracks that come out and look at the entire facility. And at that moment in time, it was somewhere around between 2 million and 2.3 million for the track, and then whatever left would be for the field inside, which would be around $3 million roughly. As many folks know, that when they refurbished the high school, or they built the high school, the newer section, refurbished the middle school, that was part of the plan, part of the project. And very little had been done really to keep keep that track up and running, right? It was very, if any maintenance whatsoever. And it's now to the point where we no longer can host any type of track meet there. The MIAA has closed it, for lack of a better word. Interestingly, the field in the middle, the athletic field, it should, and that's what I want to talk about a little bit. One of the items is that the pitch is too great on the field. It's crowned completely, it cannot be played on. And so I don't know, again, we're talking about 1998 at that point in time. And I really don't have much of a feel for the history of it, but the track was usable certainly up until the point about last year when the MIA said, you can no longer run on this. There are literally potholes in there. So when the gentleman came out at the time 2 years ago, that it would have to be stripped right down to the base, down to the cement base, and it would have to be built up from there. And that alone would cost around $2 million, just the track itself. The inside would be, well, we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but the project would have been somewhere around $3 million for the entire facility, so to speak.
Now, is that something that I know that we've been bringing up on the town side using the ARPA funds on? I know the school gets a different portion, a different pot, so to say, from it. Is that something that would qualify to use that towards, or a portion of it towards, to kind of alleviate a little bit on what would eventually come to the town?
I think that's a great question. It's my understanding that the ARPA monies, which sit on the town side, and it would be both towns, but ultimately both towns could decide to do whatever they want to do with their ARPA monies. If that was their wish, then that it could be applied to offset cost or whatever the case may be. Again, I defer to the town administrator to make sure exactly what ARPA funds could be used for, but certainly there would be,
What about the school side ARPA funds? I know there's two different total pots.
Well,
ours is considered ESSER.
ESSER.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was looking for.
ESSER funds are keeping us afloat. They're paying for all the extra elementary teachers up there, as well as some other.
Okay, so there really wouldn't be additional ESSER funds that could go towards that versus.
Expire June
Yeah.
30 when everyone's done. for
Yeah.
this school year.
all the ESSER funds, yes.
Okay,
Again,
that was what I was.
yes. Sorry,
Okay.
I misunderstood.
Sorry,
Sorry.
I didn't ask
Okay.
correctly. All right, thank you. That answers
You're
that.
welcome.
Any follow-up with? No?
I think, two follow-ups
Mhm.
is, so this project is, you listed as under FY 2027.
Yes.
Is that, a funding date or a completion date or?
To be quite frank, we've identified it as a need. Projects of this size, we do just kind of push down the road a bit at time. I hate to say it that way, but there are other things that come beforehand, and you're really talking about a major appropriation. So generally the dates represent completion, or at least in progress dates. But we have again, at this point, we have no mechanism to actually go about that. It would have to probably require some type of additional funding through whatever sources, through both towns, quite frankly, being it's the regional.
And looking at your plan on the practice field
Yeah.
upgrades, you're looking to basically, that'd come out of budget, but it'd be a certain amount set aside each year, basically to total up to create the final payment, so to speak, would be.
Exactly.
So that would basically be on a 6-year loan,
Mhm.
kind of 6-year loan with a final payout.
And interestingly enough, several years ago, which will end up being around 6 years ultimately, is that we had to replace the bleachers.
Mhm.
Pardon me, the stands, the football stands, or the athletic field stands. They were not suitable. And like then we came before both towns and said, we'd like to take out this loan, and we'd like to utilize that money to, well, in that case, it was to replace the stands. And as we have paid this down, and as we move forward, we will literally just re-enter the same amount to upgrade the fields. And so it's more than just the fields. I think that needs to be discussed is that We don't have enough fields to operate all of our athletics, mostly our varsity sports. So we're lucky enough to have facilities such as Gilman and Waite, and we use that. Gilman and Waite is becoming problematic in the sense that it's too hard. We're seeing a lot of injuries out there. And again, there was an effort several years ago to add water to Gilman and Waite, the compaction, and really gets into some pretty interesting things. And but we don't have enough places to practice either. And now I have this beautiful field, it's beautiful in the middle of the track that we can't use because the pitch is, again, the crown of the field does not allow, us to play any type of sport on there. The thought was to regrade that field, make it playable, obviously. And there were designs many years ago. So if you think of where the baseball field is behind obviously central office, there was a design off to the right to make practice fields or some type of open space there as well. We'd like to utilize that because we need space just to simply practice. And we also need space for our varsity teams, and we want to stay off the fields as much as possible between either Gilman and Waite or our primary athletic field. So this request, capital project request, would be for the same amount that the bleachers were for, and that the payments would stay ultimately the same, and we would be able to put that back into improving at least, or not only improve, but to add to these fields that we need to support athletics and other things.
Now, would you look to do this project first and then resurface around it, or because you don't want to be resurfacing and having the fields pitched into the track and do the same?
Exactly. So when we re-engaged the architects and said, okay, if you had to do this in piecemeal, now it's always cheaper to do it all at once, but we put that aside for a minute. And if you only had money to do one, again, a simplistic answer would be do the field first, because you certainly wouldn't want to put a brand new track down and then have heavy equipment rolling over it to say fix the field. So at this point, it makes sense to do, of course, the playing field in first, and then whatever we can do for the track, it can come at whatever time that we can afford it or it can happen. But the field inside will be done at least, and the work will be in the outer edges.
Okay.
So field first, track later.
Yeah, because otherwise you'd be wasting them.
Yep.
You'd be
Right.
wasting the track.
Is either do it all at once or field first is how they put it. Now, I have 75 kids out for outdoor track. So if someone says, what would you do? What would you do first? Well, for my guess, from an architectural standpoint, you'd be like, oh, the middle first. But if you're talking about sheer numbers of interest in kids, you would do the track first. But again, the cost to refurbish the entire track is just not it's not feasible at this time. So we do need to at least improve some of the other areas that we can.
Now, I know we only have 2 towns in our region, but a regional school needs to have, in my mind, it needs to have premium athletic facilities, because it attracts. I mean, it's a marketing. It's everything, and it's the right thing to do for our student athletes. It's just figuring out a way to do it. I mean, everything that you've got on here.
Right. And, again, we obviously know there are some things regardless, of importance of athletics. Athletics are important. They are a draw. That's why a lot of kids come to school. We'd like to think differently, but lots of kids come to school for athletics and other things. But we also know that there are some things that there are some priorities that are far more important, like the security of our buildings and our kids.
Yep.
So we went out and secured grants to do that. And so we're constantly doing that. There isn't a lot out there, quite frankly, to do something like to get a grant per se to build a track. Have we looked into it? Sure. Nike, Adidas, they had some larger grants, but they just didn't fit, quite frankly. This is, again, we're going back a ways when we looked into this. But it is, you're right. We've done well by the one athletic field that we have in terms of right off, where the bleachers are. But we need, in order to keep that as safe as possible, we need to move some games off it. Quite frankly, because it gets a lot of use, and having more varsity athletic fields on campus will also save on transportation. For those who know, we have to transport our kids down for soccer, down to Illinois. For
Good warm up, a good jog.
That's what I said. But apparently that just doesn't go as far as it used to. But and we don't like our kids driving off, with other kids in cars, just go down to practice. Those things, I know that they happen. I get it. But as a matter of course, we try to keep everything on campus. And also it's for security and for safety and all those type of things. It's best if we're all right there. I guess the other quick thing, not quick, but they're very large, and it's a very large item, is that you see that the roof. What I planned to do was to come before you and say, well, the MSBA, it's time to, if we're going to consider it, to get at least in queue for the MSBA, what they call green repair. They have suspended that program, quite frankly, the green repair program for the entire year, because there are many schools that are being currently built, but they've run over because of the inflation, that they've had to stop the green repair projects to make sure that they have enough money to cover the schools that are
Wow, really?
built. Yes. But that's something that we have to put on the radar, because eventually that will creep up to the top. It's, we had it assessed back in 14.
Yeah.
2014, it was a little shaky then. So as we move forward, we're going to have to keep an eye on it. And
Well, it's good to get it on both towns' plans so that they can start
Right.
seeing down the line in the future that
Exactly.
it's something that's going to need to be done. Maybe not,
Yeah.
today, tomorrow,
No.
but down the road.
Right.
But I think that's
Exactly.
a good, at least because you don't have a cost, because you really don't know when you're going to do it.
Exactly.
So there
Right.
is not a,
Is there a WAG at all?
Well, if the program was still up and running, let's say the green repair, we would have called them, and we could have, without any commitment to anybody, they would have come out and said, okay, let me look at your roof. They would have come and look at the roof and say, yeah, you're definitely going to fall on the top. You're going to fall on the top. But now we need a commitment from both towns that says, if
Yeah.
it's 60% reimbursement, then the 40%, blah, blah, blah. But they won't even go that route at this point, because they shut the program down because of the cost to the schools.
so is that something that no one is coming down, that once they reopen the program, which
Right.
ultimately they will, it's just a
Yes.
question of when. And
Exactly.
you guys can get on that and at
That's
least
right.
go through that route. So it brings it back to the.
Exactly.
boards.
That was
Okay.
the thought, is that if we weren't even going to be within the next year or so, then we could say that openly, that they've assessed it. Yeah, it doesn't fall into the,
Do you have any, what were the actuals before for total cost? I'm looking for a WAG. Are we talking
Right.
500K, $1 million, 2 million?
yeah,
Well, the price of steel
Yeah,
went up
it's
and metals went
Helpful
up
to
so much, it's
understand,
gonna be-
to frame it in.
it's 2014. I wouldn't even dare, but it was somewhere in the area of, again, that was Rick had
Mhm.
talked to the gentleman. This is before he had retired. It was, gosh, was it?
Probably a couple of million.
Yeah, it was 2.1 million in
Okay.
2016. I think it was something to that
Is that
effect.
replacing it as metal roof, or is it some of it metal, some
I
rubber?
got
Do
it.
you remember? Both?
Yeah,
Both sections?
it's both. Yeah,
Because both costs have gone up so dramatically.
Sure.
Both
Right,
petroleum based,
exactly.
both metal based has gone up.
Mm.
Probably double fold, unfortunately. We see that on every other thing that coming before us. the
Right.
prices-
yeah. And that's why they stopped the green repair, because the
Mhm.
prices have gone up so much that they can't afford the schools that were projected, say, 5 years ago.
And that's the roof for the high school.
Middle high school, right?
Middle.
So, yeah, middle and high school, the whole
Complex.
facility. I said the high school. I'm sorry. I meant to say. the
I'm just
whole-
thinking of life cycle for some of the buildings. I know we've had in past meetings that we've had when we're trying to figure out, like, if you've had a budget shortfall, when we're like, hey, what capital things can we grab from you?
Right.
And we had that discussion of,
Yep.
hey, my middle high is ending its service life or something. So we could talk about the roof, but we could also even have like it's honest, I'll say painful, but an honest discussion about what's the life cycle for the school, because you
Sure.
pay for a new school. You'd hope it comes with a roof.
Right, exactly, right. I guess that would fall under the HVAC. So going back 2 years, when we were really in the throes of COVID and we had to check air quality and all of those, I had written many times at that point that we actually got some great feedback from our HVAC. And from an older building, I was surprised. I have to tell you, I was like, but because we've done so much preventative care, maintenance over the years, but we still needed to do some upgrades because we're, again, these unit vents are just wide open, during the coldest of months, and then they close and, you're just wasting, you're just literally throwing money out, and we had to fix a lot of fence. So over the time, we've used some of the, what funds did we use, just to be, so I can be correct? Was it
We use mostly from our general.
the general fund and,
Yeah.
and a few other, some other places? We're about $120,000 short now of finishing the entire, from what we started, say 3 years ago. But we've had some, again, I my hat's off to the maintenance folks, because a lot of buildings younger than our building did not pass. And they had to do, go all remote until something could be figured out, et cetera. So we were lucky to, honestly, we're very fortunate to be actually in the buildings as soon as we were. And that's again, to the maintenance efforts since, gosh, forever, I imagine.
Well, I think it's great to see them come before us to at least give us a heads up on where we're gonna be looking down the road as a town. I mean, I know hit a couple of his major items with those. I think overall, like, it's a good picture of what, we're gonna start needing for in these buildings that are town buildings. I mean,
Yeah.
and I assume other town buildings are gonna have the same issues along the way.
And they've got expected I mean, even from the two forms that he sent in, one of them had the MSBA green repair program, so that's already fallen out.
Sure.
So it kind of gives us an idea of where their funding shortfalls are going to be. I mean, other than that, what is it that we hope to do today? I mean,
I think it's more just them bringing it, they've never been, so I
Just
think
informing you that
Okay.
eventually we're gonna go out for, in essence, and I'll leave that to you. We're
The
gonna,
school committee will be voting on that field project. They will be voting probably in January for it. And then we have to send you paperwork over to the selectmen, and you have so many days to do whatever it is that has to be done. That'll, I guess, probably all come in a letter from the treasurer. But we didn't want that to come to you blindly. That's why we just kind of want to let you know what we're up against. And we've been kind of talking like it'd be nice to have you know about some of these
Yeah.
things that we're doing and what we're up against.
well,
sometimes we ask to wait.
Yeah.
and it gets it out there. So you can explain it too,
Yeah.
because, if all of a sudden it appears, then it's like, well, what are they doing? Where'd that come from?
and if the roof had failed, let's say that, God forbid, let me just say that, but you don't want me coming up here today to say that, look, we need a new roof by Nick. I mean, my gosh, you talk about, we're not saying that. That's not what we're saying. What we wanted to do is get it assessed again, get into the queue of things and see where we stood. We know that it's coming upon that time. We won't have that opportunity just because they've closed the program down for this year. But when we do have the opportunity, we're going to throw the project into the queue of things and see where we fall.
And
And then we'll go from there. There's no obligation at that point in time. It's, it's just a matter of, then coming to both towns and saying, okay, this is what we got.
excellent.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there, is there a warranty period left on the existing roof?
No. We, when we checked, on that, it was, so 98, or 97, and I believe it was a 22 year, a 20-year warranty on the roof. I'd have to, I'm looking back here. This is again, when we checked on that, the warranty was either expired or I don't want to say voided. I don't know that. I would have to talk to, I mean, even Rick Moulton, who was here from 2016 on,
Yeah.
he wasn't the facilities director prior. So I would have, there was some type of conversation about that, but apparently it did not meet. There haven't been no issues. It's just starting to
Just age-wise, it was-
starting to
Some of
sag.
the issues where it was actually leaking.
I can double check on
obviously,
that, but-
We've taken care of
Yeah.
some of the smaller things.
Yeah.
We put the band-aids on. We're buying ourselves
Yeah.
time.
I'm gonna check on the warranty stuff, but though, yeah,
So-
again,
So it sounds like you're at the end of your warranties, and that, if there's a major repair, it's upon the town to Cover that cost.
Yes. And that's, and again, the repairs that we've had to make so far, and this is actually my first year here, have been minimal. I'm honestly, they've been, you know, got a roofing company in there. There was some flashing that had, you know,
Yeah.
come, you know,
You have
come unscrewed.
a Dutch kid with a finger.
Exactly, exactly. So, but it's not, since then, I am gonna knock, it's been good. So we haven't had any major, you know, catastrophic. It's getting soft, actually. So when they go up there, they feel that it's a little bit starting to get cushy, you know, that feeling of, okay, it's starting to get a little bit spongy. Thank you. I was trying to think of the right word.
I think that's a good point that you point out, Noel, is that, you know, for when the district looks to the town, it's all of the town. I mean, it's the iteration of money that they wind up getting it. If they're looking at their own budget, or they wind up saying, we have to do this, there's buckets now coming down. It winds up becoming a town bill anyway. So it's, do you smartly kind of project out and say, what do they need help with? A couple years ago, we started meeting town administrators, school, and the chairs for the select boards for both communities would get together and say, kind of like we're doing right now, is what, when we look in this crystal ball, what can we try and alleviate from the school? And I think now that we've got another crystal ball, these, you know, these documents, the forms, and then your projection, that gives us a little bit of flexibility to say, here's how I think we can help out.
So there's no ask, actually, or really. It
No,
was
it's-
just honestly just informational, quite frankly. And again, letting you know that in January, you'll be receiving some paperwork for us to take basically the loan. And the other loan will be sunsetting at that point. So it'll be negligible. There won't be any additional costs associated with it.
I got nothing more.
I'm good.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
But
Emery, Chris, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you very
Thanks
much.
for having us.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Jeff and Chief, you guys want to draw straws? Hi, Jeff. How's it going? Good.
So all I have is basically the replacement of the Crowdy Ave sewer station. This year it's getting designed. By next year, we're gonna replace it.
No, you don't have a cost yet on it. It hasn't been signed yet, or is it?
It's being designed now. I asked them, they didn't want to give me a number. I kind of talked them into it and they said 1.5 million, but they didn't really want to even say.
Right.
So hopefully that's on the high side.
Now, did this come before us before, or is it the,
Came for the design that's
Design.
going on now.
how is that going? How's the design going?
Not bad. It's going good. They're actually gonna be able to reuse the wet well, probably refurbish it, so that'll save money. And that's about, they haven't gotten real far. They just did test pours last week. But no, it's going good. No major problems as of yet.
Jeff, what's in your retained earnings right now?
I want to say 117,000. 119, I think, actually.
Okay,
But this ain't gonna come out of any of that.
it's okay,
This will be a debt exclusion.
okay.
And we have one coming off the books this year for the Otter River extension. This was the last year paying on that one. Which was, I don't know, a little over 30,000 a year.
That's good when we come on.
So I assume once you get the final actual number, you'll be coming back and
Yeah.
with the number wise.
Yeah, but it was just to have it, I think, by February. Nothing firm.
Too many questions. The pump station, the pump station, you got a pump.
Yeah.
So it's, the designing it and going from there and
Yep.
where the design, once the design comes through. It kind of gives
work
more
one.
information on,
We see that one in Plant Road are sister stations, and this one's the worst of the two. They both went in 78-ish.
But you're already saying that you believe it'll be a debt exclusion
Yes.
and go to town meeting?
Yep.
Why are we looking at it? I mean, unless we're gonna, one of the sources I thought was gonna be USDA. I know we've used those before.
Yeah,
Is that
that's who,
co-
want to say Pleasant Street is through.
okay? Yes, and the water tank, I think, is a USDA loan as well. That's what the water department, I'm just trying to think of all the different things that we've done through the USDA.
this is basically coming to us just as a, I guess as a placeholder for once the, once the number actually comes back, and then once the number comes back on the design, they'll come forward with some type of debt exclusion article to the select board or to,
Yeah,
at that time to that. Which again, it's kind of like the school, it's giving us a heads up.
Yeah.
It's,
and we don't have the spreadsheet still hasn't been updated to reflect all of these requests. That's part of our work, right?
I'm updating it as we go.
As we go, okay. I can see that I'm looking at some of the life cycles for some of the stuff that's out there, like Pleasant Street. Work is complete, but that'll last 2068. That sound right? Same life expectancy, spend 1.4, you get 30 years out of that
Yeah.
pump station. Okay,
Basically, it's gonna be pump stations that come as one unit. All above ground.
how are you, how is the design being funded right now?
That's coming out of retained earnings.
Is it okay? All right. And what's the bill on that, do you think?
It's gonna
10,
be
20?
between 120, 130.
Really? Wow, for the design work for that, my goodness.
design works up there. Our
Yeah.
fire station designs 640, 648.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I said 10 or 20 because we've had a couple of design things that were kind of that end, but
I think they told
Wow.
me 120.
for all the way up to 100% design.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
I think I got 130 appropriated.
okay. Outside of what you got left.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
that's already out.
Okay. All right. Any more questions for Jeff?
Very well done.
Thank you.
I think we're all set.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Hey, chief.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Chief, how are you today?
Tired. It's Monday, you know?
How I do?
Be all day. You
Okay.
been grumpy today?
I'm not grumpy. I'm just tired.
I was grumpy all day.
That's because you're getting old, Mike.
I know.
Okay,
Um,
so we'll start off with the easier one. That is the cruiser that you have in there. Everybody pretty much knows that we've been fighting for years to get on the yearly rotation. We finally got there. You'll see in here, I have the number of 61,142.92. That is incorrect. I have the update right here from MHQ. It's actually 63,515.42. Everything with supply chain issues and everything else is driving cost of cruises and everything else through the roof, so.
Chief, for the ones that you have that have not delivered yet, is that like are those firm fixed price?
Yeah, they're,
They're paid
We're all
for,
set.
we don't have to have any, okay,
we signed the
Cool, that's-
agreement, they're gonna honor it, and we'll get them. Matter of fact, we should be getting the SUV this week. Sergeant Fliss was gonna stop down there tonight on his way to the Boylston Police Academy.
Okay.
And check on the car, and then the F-150, they had an issue with the gun safe in the back. And I don't even know how they had an issue, because we've been saying gun vault from the get-go. which is a sliding compartment out of the back of the trunk. And for some reason, they had something with a gun set up in the back seat. And we're like, no, no, gun vault. That's what we have. So that's just going to be the mix up of having that delivered and installed. So
Yeah.
hopefully soon.
And that's yours. That's
Nope.
no. I thought you were getting.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Personally? No, that's going to be the sergeant's vehicle, the F-150.
Okay.
So, so for the vehicles, we're doing, since we started the program, now we're starting to realize that it's not driving up the mileage as bad as it was in, past years. So 17, which is going to be rotated out, has 97,834. 27 has 85,806. 18 has 77,454. 21 has 27,020. A15, which is the old admin car, that's the detective car, has 112,830. And A20, which is mine, has 43,466. So we have successfully started driving down the high mileage, and also the maintenance. We can already realize there's a difference because we're not operating these cars upwards of 140,000 miles. So we've accomplished what we wanted.
Is that town maintenance or contract maintenance?
This year we went to contract maintenance, only because, and it was actually the idea of the highway superintendent to separate a fund and have Aiken Automotive do our work, only because the technical expertise with the cruiser packages compared to a highway truck
Yeah.
are kind of
Yeah.
two different things.
And Aiken's is probably seeing those models.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not the police interceptor or something like that, but they're seeing the late models in their shop.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's been going
That's
well.
local. That's nice that you have local contract.
Just through MHQ.
This bid, yes. If we stay with this bid, we're not 100% sure. Because you can see the price of, well, you can't see the price, but I do have a copy. If you need it, was what I say, 63 for the
Little asterisk next to it.
updated one. So that's for the Ford Explorer SUV. The Chevy Tahoe is actually coming in less than the Ford Explorer.
I know you wanted to get away from Fords.
So we might,
You still want to get away from
well,
Fords.
it depends. If we can get a better bang for the buck
Okay.
with the Tahoe, we'll explore the Tahoe and save the town some money, but we always look at how we can save money, so. Do we have any further questions? Yes,
First one's kind of a dumb question, but are you exempt from sales tax?
yes.
I figured you were.
Yep.
So make sure. Also, do you have a target figure in mind as far as years of service and number of miles? I mean, I have in my head, and I don't know if you would find this agreeable, but it seems to me like, 4 years, 80,000 miles. Is that the overall goal?
So
Something like
you're-
that, or-
You're very close. I would be on more the terms of 4 years, 100,000 miles. You generally want to rotate that car out before it's getting over the 100,000 miles, because that's where we see,
You need reliable
Things-
reliability.
and 100,000 miles is usually when the warranty expires.
and
So
your
we'd
maintenance
like to
costs.
get out of that car before the warranty expires. So,
Now, would this be? I happened to talk to Adam a little bit right before the meeting, and
Yes.
he had mentioned possibly this being worked into the budget versus coming out of our capital items here for our.
yes, so I had to bring it up because of the,
Bylaw.
bylaw and everything like that, but it is my understanding that next year, they wanted to work it into the budget, but they're not actually gonna have it in my budget. They're gonna have it earmarked as the meals tax. So the meals tax will be the funding for this project.
So it's not actually a portion that would allegedly come out
Yes.
of our capital planning bucket, so to say.
That's
Yes.
my understanding is that year after year will be the meals tax proceeds, which is roughly the cost of a cruiser.
Yes.
You know, pretty close.
Yep.
Which I think is a good idea.
Yeah.
Where you have a steady source of funding and
I know there was a selectman that would have liked to have it worked into the budget, but the only problem you have with that is if you're working into the budget, and as we're seeing with the cars we've previously purchased, if we can't purchase it by the end of the fiscal year, we lose those funds. So that's not a very good idea. I would love to have it, but because of what's going on, it's not a feasible idea at this point.
It results in a lot of encumbering.
So,
Trying to think, I want to say the number for meals tax as an annual, because we assess it in quarters. If I was really fast, I'd have the budget versus actual, but I thought we were in the $40,000.
I
thought it was a little bit higher than that.
it's a lot, yeah, it's in the 70,
60,
Okay,
it's in the 70,
enough to fund a cruiser.
it should be.
yeah, I mean, based on what the estimates that we have here.
Yeah.
And I don't have any more questions on the
Okay.
cruiser. The cruisers are cruisers. I get it.
And then the other one is same as the cruiser and the sewer departments. Wouldn't be coming totally out of the capital. A portion of it would. Adam was thinking maybe 75 of this project, so it's the HVAC upgrades that we've been talking about for umpteen years now. Since the building, we risk having the building becoming a sick building because of the HVAC issue. We had two outside third-party contractors come in, do studies, finally came up with engineering design to do the whole study with the upgrades. Unfortunately, because of the time, and same as when we built the building, originally it was going to cost between $75,000 and $85,000. Now we're looking at $275,000. So with contingency money, you're talking easy $300,000 project. So I believe Adam wanted to look for about 75,000 from capital. And then we would look for other financing or funding for sources. One particular would be the 911 fund. And we would go from there.
Would it benefit the project, Mike, to come in and actually have somebody prepared like the bid documents for it and actually go out to bid on the project to see what the exact number is?
We already did.
We already did that. We got one.
We already got it.
We did discuss possibly going out to bid again, but.
Yes, we are gonna go out to bid. That's the
What
new
was one
plan,
bid that came back just out of curiosity?
277.
Okay, so it wasn't. Okay.
Yeah. We are gonna go out to bid again. So the original bid process, and we feel this is what some of the hiccup was and problems, is how it went out. There were two addendums. And some of the contractors got confused on what was going on with the process. So we would come out, it would go out to bid, and then it had an addendum, and then it had another addendum. So it kind of like wasn't smooth. So we're gonna hold off until the springtime, hopefully get through some of what's going on and put it out to bid again.
And we haven't even used the term this evening, but there's ARPA money as well.
Well, that was my next question, and we had talked about it with a couple of things last, I mean, I know there's towns got X amount of ARPA funds that realistically versus going out on that, this would be a project that would fall under that infrastructure
Yeah.
ARPA fund project.
Right.
I know we waiting on things supposedly to be released on other projects,
Yes.
but those other projects also don't have to take up the entire portion of the ARPA funds. It
Right.
could be, we could look to have 300 go towards doing this project, get it done now, which is in my mind, some of what the ARPA funds are for, to do various infrastructure projects for things that aren't necessarily,
I agree, Tom.
you just, to do it on, I mean, one
There are
project
some things that,
necessarily
like,
doesn't necessarily help everybody, and without spreading it all around, it doesn't, because there are little things that, you know, not a little thing, obviously, but if we need to take care of a building that we've already put money into, we need to do it so that in the future, we're not looking at having an issue with that building. I think to have, and again, that's charged from on the select board end or Adam's end on where those fundings go to, but I think it's something that using that ARPA funds for infrastructure is and building wise, not
Especially
just,
for this.
yeah.
There are
certainly-
priorities.
Correct, and I think something like this on a health standpoint for the employees is a fairly large.
For a public safety building, right?
So that's just, again, I think it's something that we should look at, or the board should look at, or whoever needs to look at the ARPA funding spending on who and what it goes for, because it is a fine line with, you know, you want to do one project and get one project done, but that doesn't help the other 8 agencies in town that do need some type of projects worked on.
Yeah, I you know, here, I sit here as the rep from the select board, and I don't speak for all of them, but I feel that the select board has not done enough work in looking at this one-time money, ARPA money. It's got four, you know, you can't do this, can't do that. And it's very, you know, can't put it towards debt. Those are easy to sidestep. It's the stuff that you're trying to get done for the community without it being viewed as windfall, and, you know, you start adding Keurigs to every building. And I'm not saying that we're
Right.
doing that. I'm just trying to think of a ridiculous thing. HVAC for public safety is high on my list for
Well, I said-
good, legitimate uses for
Correct.
infrastructure money coming out of
Start looking
COVID.
at the things that are on every year on capitals, you know, I've been on this is
Right.
my second or third year, and the projects that are coming every single year to capital that we either bump off, you know,
Yep.
HVAC, the parking lots for the town hall, the fire station, you know, and the various town buildings, the parking lots. We've, you know, the highway garage, all these things that every year we say, next year.
Well,
And
as part of this, we can make that recommendation, because Adam will take our recommendation, you know, we make the recommendation to select board, Adam then consumes it with the select board. And he develops for the budget book all of these capital items, everything. You know, we're not going, we can have the visibility of sewers, well, sewer's a bad example. If Jeff came in and said he was gonna pave his driveway, that's his enterprise funds that are doing it. We can make recommendation, but these aren't affecting the budget. These come back through. Adam's gonna collect it all and say, here are the sources of funding for all this stuff. We can do that. We can wind up saying, here are some things, here's our tier 1 for the budget that we have. Our tier 2 are recommended with ARPA funding based, and give a good criteria or a justification to go along with that, to
Right.
say there may be other discussions from Adam's perspective, from the department head's perspective, and then the select board wind up getting it and understand holistically, how are we going to get all these things that we need, and then what else is left over.
Right, because I just think it's I think it's wrong to be pushing for and having to grovel every year for an HVAC system upgrades for a building. And, you know, if we've got the possible opportunity, I think it's our responsibility to put that forward.
Sure.
Towards it, you know, and if it's a funding source potentially that normally we wouldn't have, that's a bonus to the town.
No,
I think that this is about the size, the HVAC is about the size of a possible earmark. You know, I read through the entire bill of that $3.7 billion that the legislature spent in informal session without a roll call vote. You know, it was very interesting reading, but one of the things that stood out was there were a lot of grants to different cities and towns that were in the $100,000 to $300,000 range. And this struck me as, in looking through the paperwork, this struck me as the one project where maybe, you know, we could ask our state representatives to.
there's one right there. There's a check for 225,000 that Ann came for the police station. That was for the Sallyport.
That was the Sallyport. And
The reason why I raised this.
Generator?
generator.
Yep.
The reason why I raise this is that seems to be kind of the number between 1 and 300,000 where our representatives could obtain an earmark. And this is probably the type of project that would really fit into that wheelhouse.
Okay,
And I'm just thinking that maybe we should explore that.
sure.
I know I repeat quite often that, we should look to the state for things and,
Well, we
And
can
at the
tell
risk of
John
sounding
Zlotnick,
like
he
a-
hasn't brought us a check yet, so we can bring that up and say, here's your opportunity to bring us a big old check.
but that's exactly what I was thinking. It would be, and I think that he, that he may be able to do something to help the town.
Okay. Well, it's on
So
our
this is,
list.
this really is an important project and, they're all important projects, but this might be the kind of size where it could be an earmark.
Okay. Any other questions, Justice Holly? No? And Cruiser is just a standard SUV, and that was either the Explorer or the Tahoe.
Well, the
Okay.
way Adam puts it forward is he puts it forward as police vehicle, just in case something comes up and we get a better deal.
All of a sudden the Dodge comes up or something, or
Yes.
or something
Okay.
different. It's
Yeah.
just put forward as a,
But it was just a
put forward as an
standard
SUV.
configuration cruiser.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
It will be SUV, right?
It could be another truck.
Okay, I'll take that.
It says police, the way he words it now is police vehicle,
Vehicle.
just in
Alright.
case.
Truck. 2-seat, 4-seat,
4C.
so you can bring a prisoner in a.
Yep.
Okay,
That has a single cage, just like the SUV does.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. I don't have anything else.
I don't
Mike,
either.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank
Gentlemen,
you.
have a good night.
You too.
I'll go back to the station.
Now, CPC didn't have anything, is that?
They didn't.
Interesting.
I believe that's all we did.
Yeah, that's all we've got. So we had school, sewer and police. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
When's the next meeting scheduled, Paul?
And Holly, you said that you were actually adding, with the data that we have, you were adding them to the spreadsheet?
You just check on the next meeting.
What time is it?
I don't know, she's checking. now.
December 7th. That's why I say 30.
Day that will live in infamy. You know that one, like Justice. Pearl Harbor Day,
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
December 7th, same bat time.
Yes.
Okay. I will try and get her a little bit earlier. It's now that we're in the holiday swing, maybe the office will slow down a little bit. All right, next meeting is December 7th at 3:30.
Would it help you if the meeting was a little later in the day?
No, I just need to, I need to cut my coworkers off and say I gotta go. That's fine. Who's on the docket for that one, Holly?
Please have DPW for that one and start to develop recommendations.
Okay,
So would you be able to get what you have for the spreadsheet done before DPW out to us just before that, just so we can take a look at it?
Yeah, I'll actually send it out after this meeting.
Okay, just so we can start looking in our mind of where we are with
Trying to-
things.
You and I were trying to
Or at least I
set a
can
time.
send it.
I'll talk to you after. Okay, yeah, I think we got some time at the end of the week. All right, I would entertain a moment to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Any discussion?
I'll switch it.
Hearing none. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.